Hello everybody, as you all may know, it's Saturday. And usually the Saturday videos are where we just cover everything that happened since Monday. So basically I've decided that I need to design a new system for our electrolysis setup, which comes in the form of this clay. We'll find out what we're doing with it later on, but we'll just talk about making it. So yeah, I decided to cut it with a hacksaw since most of my other tools were not able to cut it, so like no Dremel could cut it, nothing like that. Although eventually I later find that filing it works really good compared to the hacksaw or anything else. Also, another saw actually cuts it better. There's another saw, which is, it seems like it's designed for this. But yeah, eventually I put it in the vise and it just decides to break. It just decides to snap into a million pieces right before my eyes and it become wobbly. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it would crush if I put it in the vise. So this is the one thing that's been slowing us down from actually setting up a new electrolysis setup, other than actually adhesives and materials that can hold this into the tubes. We'll find out if this works later on. I don't know if this material will work, but I think it might. I can't explain why it would work. I don't have a reason to believe why this would work, but I think it might work. Eventually it got to the point where I was just cutting it and then selectively cracking it. Because it's really easy that way. And once you get a tile, which I got a tile, I was able to take that and further process it. I didn't actually get most of the other processing of it on the video, but I can show you that later, some of the techniques I used. But yeah, once I had a tile, I just drew lines on it where the squares would be, and I would then file the squares down into circles. To cut the squares out, I had to use a more precision tool, so we would just use Dremel. And that was very satisfying. So yeah, it was the stuff I did on Monday. And then came Tuesday, or well, the start of school. Now, most of the actual work on the filing and stuff was done at school, but more importantly, I found a new book I want to read called Nuclear and Particle Physics or something, from 2006. And it has these funny alien math in it, and it's what the heck is this? Who comes up with this? Somebody's not in their right mind here, and it's definitely not me. Did I phrase that right? Anyway, I just read the explanation of how this math works, and it seems to make sense, so I guess it's math. Makes sense. And so a snowstorm hit on Friday, which was nice, but also not nice because it shut down the solar distillery. We no longer were producing distilled water. In fact, we hadn't even produced any, which is another setback. In fact, there's 2 more setbacks I need to go deal with, but not right now, because I don't want to do that. I want to finish editing this. So this is my opportunity to capitalize on the moment and collect around 88 gallons of snow. This translates into God only knows how much water, because a lot of it's going to evaporate. And the reason we hadn't collected much distilled water is because I actually need a system that automatically collects it. I need to actually set something up like that. Because, see, what I theorize is happening is that it's actually evaporating back out of the collection device. So we're not actually distilling water. We are just we're simulating the atmosphere. What the heck is this? There's not even an ozone layer, it's just a layer of plastic. Now, I've had somebody ask me, why the heck do we have this random microwave oven plate? And this is from the microwave video back in the day. I don't know. You might want to go and watch that if you're curious. But we basically harvested microwave components. And that's why we're using a hacksaw in this video. Somebody back then said to me that my freehand technique with the hacksaw was super dangerous. That they were scared. And honestly, I kind of agree with them. I don't care. Just avoid cutting yourself with the saw. Like that's how you don't get cut by it. Time for the shovel laps. How many gallons of snow can we shovel? 88 gallons. Each drum can store around 44 gallons, which means in total we'll have a little under 88 because we need some extra volume for the cinder block and the bucket. And this translates into probably less water, because some of it will evaporate and then some of it just it's not very compact. This is like the worst way to store water. Storing it as like a fine powder. That does not work very well. Arguably the most difficult part was transporting all of that. I mean, I knew it was possible, but I was gonna need two hands, so I couldn't really hold the camera while we did it, and to be honest, I think that led to a much better shot, because usually you just see my feet as we walk around carrying very large objects. But with this one, I knew I was not gonna be able to one-hand this thing. This thing was heavy. Like a cinder block, that's nothing. 2 cinder blocks is nothing. But then there's this thing, 44 gallons of snow. Just so y'all can get an understanding of how much snow was going on while I was fixing up and filling up this solar distillery. Oh my gosh. Just check out this shot right here. I even had to use the microwave cover, or the microwave plate thingy, to cover the bucket. It was like a perfect fit. Although it did slide around while I was filling, but that's no problem. So the next day I went out to check on things and see if I could do some electrolysis stuff, but unfortunately it was way too cold. -10 Celsius is just way below the freezing point of water. And that would greatly hinder our results and stuff, so I didn't want to deal with that. So earlier we were working on those thingies, and I've got them almost to the size where they can fit in pipes, which is perfect. I just need something to hold them in. And here we have a wonderful visitor, wonderful guest star today. My cat came to visit. What a nice creature this one is. Except he tries to steal my Legos, and also was thinking these were some kind of food, so we had to kick him out. Now, like I said before, filing works pretty good on these, but I also discovered today that you can just use this funny looking saw. I'm pretty sure this is actually Doctor's bone saw. It's fun. This thing goes right through them and it goes no problem. Don't worry about my fingers, they're always out of the way. It's just, these are very small, so it looks like they're in the way. But regardless, it's not like I'm just gonna go straight through. I'm probably just gonna, if it does go through and like, if it goes through the material and then hits me, then I'm probably just gonna get, like, a slight nick and then stop. Like, that's what I don't really understand. It's like, I mean, with a knife you have to be extremely careful, but, like, with a saw, it's not really that big of a deal, because it's just, it can't go through you that fast. Unless it's electric, then you have to be very careful. Alright, so these jugs here, they had some moisture in them, and apparently that did not come out a few months ago when I let them dry. So they had kind of turned into swamp water. To treat this, we just dump in some of the sodium hypochlorite, give it a nice swirl around, fill it with some water, and basically any bacteria in there will die, but then we have to let it dry again, because we do not want any of the sodium hypochlorite in there for storing things, and I'm planning to use these for just storing the distilled water. And when I was finally done with them and got them all nice and cleaned, I decided to dump them in the solar distillery. The reason being is that in the summer, this thing could turn into a swamp. So to mitigate this now, we should just treat them with some bleach stuff, as any bacteria that is in there will probably just get killed off by this. And every so often, regularly, we should treat it with a nice dose of this stuff. It doesn't affect the end result. At least I hope it doesn't. I mean, I don't think the chlorine, the hypochlorite is going to be a gas. I don't think that's... No, it's just gonna stay in the... It's gonna turn into salt. And the reason I know this is gonna happen is because it's getting hit with UV light, heat, and a bunch of other stuff, which is gonna make it unstable, and it's gonna decay. Basically becoming salt water.